Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brokoff, authors of the leadership development books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. At Gapology, our purpose is to help leaders achieve their greatest potential. To learn more about our groundbreaking books and training services, visit our website, gapology.org.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. Sometimes time is limited, and even with the best intentions and strongest leadership rhythm, team members often struggle with finding time to set aside for self-development, especially reading books. And you may find that there's people like that on your team, and even though they may say that they're interested in learning Gapology, they just might not find the time to do so. Well, we have a couple of options for them. First of all, we have our Audible version of Gapology, which is a great choice to play each morning while driving to work or on the train or even while getting ready for the day. The second option is our Udemy video-based e-learning course. This course is about 1 hour of video content, and it's a great condensed way to get up to speed. You can find links to them and everything else on our website, gapology.org. And of course, this podcast is also a great option as well. And tonight we're going to dig in a bit more to the mindset phase of IMBAR that we started talking about last week. Specifically, we'll dive into an excellent tool to measure team mindset and talent levels. So let's go ahead and get the show rolling with Mark Tinas. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How's it going?
It is excellent. I found a new show and I need to know if you are watching it. It is called Only Murders in the Building.
I have not seen it.
Oh my God, we just started it. I think we're on maybe the third episode or something. It's Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez. It is fantastic. And it is about podcasts, surprisingly. And but it's one of these like true crime podcast type of setting. Ah. And but you have to watch it. It's really good. But
I'll check it out.
I literally just finished an episode and came up to record this, and thought I'd tell you about it. So,
thanks for the tip.
Yeah. For our listeners out there, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It is fantastic. Steve Martin's great.
And say the title again.
Only Murders in the Building. It's a weird title. I was like, that's kind of weird. But in the first episode, they explain what that is, so I won't spoil it for you. But it's pretty good.
Okay.
So anyway, our podcast is not about true crime or murders or any of that, of course. But it
does have an M in the title, though. So
it does, and we're going to talk about M tonight.
But not murder. But yeah.
No. We'll talk about mindset tonight, actually. Which last week we had an excellent episode, which I've listened to I think 2 times after I've edited and posted it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And I thought, this would be a good topic to kind of explore, to really dive into the mindset part of IMBAR, which is our second book. And of course, it's an acronym, like everything in life, basically. So identity, mindset, behavior, action, and results is the acronym. But we're going to talk about mindset tonight. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on some of this, Mark.
Yeah, so you're right on in terms of the power of mindset, and the amazing thing that we found was, well, the response last week to the IMBAR podcast was excellent, by the way. Mm-hmm. But what we found in our research for Gapology and for IMBAR was this simple equation: T times M equals P. And we're going to share that tonight and talk about it in some detail. Many leaders still are unaware of it, and it can be extremely significant. Those of you that are aware of it know that, and we may give you a few new things tonight. When you look back at the work we did with Gapology, the habit ladder became, a huge hit and sort of spread worldwide. Thousands and thousands of leaders, using today and learned the habit ladder. The other, IMBAR became a big deal, for leaders where they understood identity mapping and could get through that. But T times M equals P has also had a huge impact on leadership and on performance. And so we really wanted to share this again with you tonight. We did a podcast on it, I guess it was about a year ago, but we definitely want to come back to it because we have a lot of new listeners, and you may not know about T times M equals P, and everyone that has used it has, shouted crazy successful things about it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The interesting thing about teaching gapology, throughout this last almost 15 years is you never know what's going to connect to people. In these workshops, people will come up and say, "Oh man, the habit ladder was fantastic. It's changed my life," or the commitment ladder. Oh man, you just never know what people are going to connect with. And T times M equals P is always one of those things that it wasn't a major focus in the book. It was really just kind of almost an extra thing in there that we inserted that really tied a lot of this stuff together in gapology. And so many people have come up and said, "Hey, this really impacted my leadership."
It is, I think it's so simple that it gets discounted. The simplicity of it is great, and that should amplify it. It not only works in business, it works with your kids, it works with athletes. We see it play out, with professional athletes. We do some coaching with athletes. It really works. So, well, let's jump into it then, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Good. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So the T is talent. So think of the skills of an individual, and let's go ahead and score them on a scale of 1 to 10. So for a given role, 1 to 10, what is the talent, the T in the equation of an individual? We multiply that by the mindset, which Brian talked about earlier, which we know is a significant part of performance. So what's the attitude, the energy level, and again, a scale of 1 to 10. So T times M equals P, performance. It's such a simple equation that, again, it could be easily discounted. So when I first ran across it, I want to tell this story real quick, Brian.
Okay.
I had a group of maybe 20 direct reports, and I quickly, just, off the cuff, wrote down what I thought was their T, what I thought was their M, and that gave me the P. And I matched it up to their actual performance. And you had to pick me up off the floor, I think. So T times M equals P actually tied directly to their performance. It was really quite incredible. So my top performer out of the 20 at the time was the highest person I've ever scored. And I gave them a 9 by 9. And so they were an 81, and they were the top performer, driven again by their skill level, their talent, and by their mindset, their attitude, their energy. And that's how they got there. So I immediately connected with this and understood that it was an integral part of gapology, this book we were writing and this experience we were having, and that it was quite meaningful. And it has been incredible ever since. And we don't share the scores with the people that we score. It's for the leader, but it tells you where you need to focus. It tells you what you need to do.
Yeah, the talent levels and the mindset levels can definitely fluctuate. And I think you can certainly assess the overall levels of an associate, of course, but you can also examine how it changes from project to project or situation to situation. And it's dramatically impacted from role to role as people move throughout their career. So I think it's a good idea to re-examine this from time to time as things do shift in your team.
Well, yeah, you might have somebody in the wrong role to where if they were moved into a different role, they would have a skill level that matched it better. Mm-hmm. You certainly need to look at that. But I would challenge all of you leaders to do the same thing I did. Go ahead and just take a swag at it. What's the T? What's the M? Therefore, you have the P. for everyone on your team and compare that with their actual performance. I was blown away by the incredible accuracy. So
Yeah, absolutely.
anyhow, challenge you on that. So right away, when we started using this, not only did we find it to be accurate, but we found this incredible scenario, and that was the rule of 49. So write that down if you're taking notes. So 7 times 7, 49. 49 doesn't sound like a good score, but 7 by 7 was a magic number, a magic equation. So when we got an individual to 7 talent and 7 mindset, they were successful. They were exceeding expectations. So we quickly found that 7 by 7 was like this magic equation, this magic number. And when you get the team to that level, you really blow away the expectations, and it became significant. Mm-hmm. So we love to point out that I've never scored anyone, including myself, and including you, Brian, by the way, as a 10 by 10.
What?
Sorry to let you know that. I apologize.
I'm
but
shocked.
7 by 7 is magic. What have you found, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those numbers are very, very accurate. I think what you said there, as far as looking at the team, so looking at the average of the team, so you go through and score each individual, and then figure out the average of the group. So is your team at that rule 49? I think that'd be a fantastic exercise to do too.
Yeah, that would play out. So as a leader, what I like to say is get everybody on your team to 7 by 7.
Yep.
When you as a leader get everybody on the team to 7 by 7 or higher, watch out. You're gonna create waves. You will lead the organization in performance. The other thing, I don't know if you know this, but I started using it in interviews. So I'm interviewing an executive for a role, and I try and quantify their talent level, for the role that I'm interviewing them for. Mm-hmm. Are they a 7? And then what's their energy level, their mindset? How do they display that? And I really came away with, if I can give them a 7 by 7 in the interview, they're likely a good hire. And if they're below that, they're likely not. They're likely not. The exception to that rule I found was when I was interviewing an internal for promotion, somebody to step up into a higher role. If they were a 6 by a 7, I sort of would take ownership for that and say, okay, I can help them develop to a 7. They've already got the energy and the attitude. Maybe they're a 6 by an 8. They're promotable. We can get them to 7 by 7 or 7 by 7 or higher. But if they're external, you're interviewing somebody for, a role within the organization, 7 by 7 really became the minimum standard. And that really worked for me. And over time, the people that were hired that fit that succeeded. The people that were below that we hired anyway failed. And it really became this incredible measure of predictability of performance.
Yeah, during the interview, that's interesting, Mark. When you have somebody sitting down in front of you and they're prepared for this interview, they've come in, they've got their resume all polished up, they've practiced all the interview questions. You're looking at the resume and you're trying to assess their talent. That's about as good as they're going to get. Oftentimes, as far as reflecting their talent.
Yeah, you're seeing their best.
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. The mindset that I think in an interview, I think there's a lot of different factors that go in there, nerves and so forth. But when you're looking at it and you're scoring it, I think that's a great time to apply this to see, man, even with this type of stressful situation, if they're at a 49, man, this can really be a great candidate. or if their mindset's just, in the tank and the talent level's not coming across. And, I can see where this could be a great piece to roll into your assessment process.
Well, at least keep it in the background of your mind.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
necessarily share it with the interview panel. Maybe I'm with a panel interview.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily say, hey, I score them a 42.
Right.
I don't tell them that, but I have it, and I know that I know the deficiency in their skill level on the talent side and or on the mindset side if they're below that.
Right.
And if they're above that, it's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
we need this person on the team. So anyhow, the rule of 49 we believe is very real, and it plays out. The other thing we found is that if you're in doubt, I don't know if they're a 6 or a 7, go with the lowest score. If you're in doubt, go with the lower number. That really protects you, and it helps you develop them to that next level. I found that to really, really help out. So don't kid yourself. Go with the lower number, and I have found that to be a significant safeguard that helps you get to 7 by 7.
And I think for your paradigm, how you're seeing the candidates, you have to decide for yourself what equals those numbers. So when you're measuring somebody's talent level or their mindset level, you need to have some sort of rule in the back of your mind. How am I measuring this? What am I comparing it against? And you can use some standards that you've already established to measure this stuff. You can certainly look to your core competencies and your set of defined behavioral expectations that you set for measuring talent levels. That's a good way to do it. And you can use core values and any engagement levels as measures for your mindset levels. Do you have any good tips for that, Mark?
You're looking for things in a leader on the talent side that, equal the skills that match up the job. So that tends to be what the interview is often about. The mindset side is, less of a absolute, but you have to look for engagement. One of the things Brian and I learned is that, and we worked with a great leader who scored engagement among teams. We took surveys and things like that. We found that the highest engagement level teams performed at a higher level. So we know that engagement, which is part of that mindset equation, equals performance. So don't discount it. Would you like to work for this person? That's often a question I ask in interviews. I ask it of myself. Would you like to work for this person?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, wow, okay, that's pretty significant. So take a look at it, from that standpoint, and understand. I think you're getting to my next point here, which is that suddenly at some point, I guess we weren't good at math or something. I always thought I was. We realized that, oh my God, we're saying that talent and mindset are equal? Holy crap. So wait a minute. If I'm a 10 in talent and I'm a 1 in mindset, I'm going to underperform big time.
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, you're going to underperform big time. You're not worth having on the team. So we often interview to talent or we interview to mindset. You need to interview to both. You need to look at your team through that lens for both. Because we're saying in T times M equals P that they're equal. So wait a minute. So I'm a 6 in talent. But if I can step up to a 9 in mindset, I'm a 54. Did I get the math right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm a 54. I'm going to outperform the group likely. Absolutely. Think about what that means. They're working harder. They've got an incredible attitude, and they're likely going to increase their talent over the short term. Wow. A 54, a 6 by 9 is going to outperform many people on the team. So it really plays out, and it is of great significance. And the T and the M are equal in determining performance. We've seen sports teams that paid for the greatest players of all time, and they don't win the World Series or the Super Bowl. Well, wait a minute. Oh, it's likely T times M equals P. So they went to the T, but didn't get the M.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's so true. So true. And the thing that struck me there, Mark, as you were talking about that is because they're equal, the responsibility of the leader has an equal responsibility to impact the talent as they do the mindset. So often leaders only focus on impacting the talent. They're not always considering their impact on the person's mindset.
Are you reading my notes?
No.
How are you in this room here?
No, I'm a few states away here.
For those that don't know, Brian's in Kansas City and I'm in California. So yeah, my next point was that the T and the M are equal. We've said that. But the leader has an incredible impact, obviously on both, but on a daily basis, likely on that M. So the leader with great behavior could drive up the engagement level of the team daily and drive the M higher. So you as a leader are part of this equation. So when you score that person on your team at 7x7, you're part of that score. You're a significant part of that score. You impact the M continuously, and you likely have the ability to impact the T. Think about that. So the leader's role here is amazing. So the crazy thing I talked about earlier when I scored my team was I realized that, oh my God, these are my scores. I can affect these scores. If I'm having a bad day, the last thing I want to do is come to work and pass that off to the team. I can drive down the M and drive down performance. Don't want to do that. But what if I work to drive up performance every day? What if I understood T times M equals P and understood that I have a significant part of the mindset of my team? Wow. I can move this equation. And then what if I devoted a significant amount of my time to driving up their talent level? What if my time with them was about development? Wow. So I can really understand that the T times M equals P is all about the leader as well. And their impact can be amazing. So,
yeah, what would be interesting to look at is the time investment of the leader to impact each of those two parts of the equation. So to impact somebody's talent level, that takes some time. You need to make sure you're using the habit ladder, you're training properly, you've set up coaching processes, mentorship processes. There's a lot of tactical things to build into your leadership rhythm there. The mindset, however, you can impact that in an instant. You can instantly either increase somebody's mindset or decrease somebody's mindset. I think when you're looking at the return on your investment of time, really think through that. Think about, while you're spending time developing the talent of your team, how can you move the needle quickly by impacting the team's mindset overall?
Yeah, that's huge. So let's take an example here. So let's say you have someone on your team that's a 7x7. What if you knew that by spending time with them, devoting the next couple of days, you could get their talent level in what they do, in the skills they need, to an 8? Wow. So they would become an 8x7, right? No. It's interesting. When you as a leader devote time to someone on your team to drive up their talent level, it often drives up their mindset. So when you focus on the T, you're focusing on the M. So a 7x7 with your efforts could become an 8x8. Think about that. Brian, have we seen that happen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the core human needs is really to grow, right? To improve and impact the world. And when a leader spends time developing your talent, that helps you then really connect with your areas of responsibility, the people that you interact with, and the world around you. We've absolutely seen that. Spending time with people, helping them grow, totally.
Yeah, so this simple equation, T times M equals P, is significant. It may be simple, but it is significant. And you as a leader play an incredible role. And you certainly own the M on a daily basis, but you can drive up the T. And if you devote your schedule, your leadership rhythm to increasing the T and always being aware and working to drive up the M, you will drive up both of them. So T times M equals P sounds silly, but it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And you as a leader can own it and you can move it. Well, I don't know if you want to move it starting. Yeah, let's say, go ahead. Let's start today. Why not?
Yeah.
And maybe we make big movement by the weekend. The other thing that really matters here is that you need to do your own T times M equals P. So look in the mirror. What's your T? What's your M? Chart it out. Don't tell us. I don't want to know what it is. But here's what we found. And we didn't even think about this going in. As you as a leader increase your T, so you through self-development or whatever become more skilled, you will increase the skill level of your team. And as you become very much aware of the power of your mindset on the team, you will work to increase your M. And your T and M, as they go up, will increase the T and M of the team. And your performance will exceed that of the organization by substantial amounts. So you matter. And you've got to focus on the continuous development of your team. One of the interview questions I ask of executives when I'm interviewing them for a role is, and I wait until towards the end of the interview, I ask, what are you doing to develop yourself? And often there's a pause, and many people say, I really haven't focused on that. Some will talk about a book they've read, or some will know that question is coming, and they'll lay out an answer, and they're very focused on that. But that is significant. If you are not developing your T, you're likely not developing your M, and therefore your numbers are stagnant. If you change that and you become a proponent of T times M equals P and drive up your own numbers, it will have a positive impact on the team.
Yeah, I love that, Mark. The focus on your own T, your own talent level, that is something that gets neglected. When our leadership rhythm is out of whack and we're kind of living in chaos, we usually tend to push aside our own needs, our own development, things that we do for ourselves. We push that aside because we jump in and want to help other people or do activities or take on tasks or whatever, busy work. When in reality, taking the time, pausing, reflecting on the things that are going to help us grow actually does increase that mindset, and then that does bleed down to the team to help the team grow overall. So I love that. That's a wonderful tip, Mark. I think looking at our own individual leadership rhythm is critical for this stuff. We need to think about the methods that we can impact ourselves and our team around impacting their T and impacting their M, and building in processes for each.
Yeah, I think back to Brian used to work for me in a in a retail chain that we worked for. And is that correct, Brian?
Right. Yep.
Most people that are listening to this think I work for you, but that's
right.
That's sort of how it is today.
Yeah.
But anyhow, back in the day, I would show up at Brian's retail store, and my purpose for visiting there was to develop his T and his M through that without knowing it. I didn't know that equation at that moment. And I would literally come to a retail store, pull out a flip chart, put it on an easel, and start teaching him and his team things that I knew that would help them, gapology stuff. And it was crazy how enthused they were and how much they learned and how the results changed that day. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. We were a training store. We believed in training. We believed in growing our team. So anytime you came and you pulled that flip chart out, and it happened every time, we were just always wanted to learn more. And then, the minute you left, we started applying it.
And the results soared.
Yep.
So we were doing T times M equals P without knowing it.
Right. Yeah.
We hadn't found it yet. I think back, that's what we were doing. And the results were crazy. We were dominating the industry through a leader without knowing it, working on driving up the T and driving up the M. And, all I cared about was the P, not fully understanding how I was getting there. And wow, think about that. We had a great time too.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's T times M equals P. That's all I got, Brian.
Good. Yeah, I think that's great. It's a good place to leave it. Last words, just, really look at your leadership rhythm, listeners out there. Pause, think about your week, think about your calendar. What blocks of time do you have already dedicated to some of this stuff? And
let me just add, and focus on your self-development. We find so many leaders that are sort of stagnant. They're really good, but they're stagnant. If you're not growing, you're not going to grow your team, and it'll affect the M. So sorry, Brian.
Yep. Nope. Perfect. If anybody has questions on this stuff, make sure to reach out to us. Our email is contact@gapology.org. That's contact@gapology.org. Send us an email, or, send us a message on one of the social media sites, LinkedIn and so forth. We're happy to answer questions, help you out where we can. But
thanks everybody. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Mark. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, that'll do it from here. For more information on Gapology, IMBAR, Speed of Purpose, or any of our other products, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology Institute production. Visit us at gapology.org.